Can you see my background with Birmingham City Council?
Yeah, it's fine. Are we live now?
Councillors, you're live. Okay.
Thank you, Beverly. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, residents. My name's Councillor Diane Donaldson. I'm one of the councillors for Bromford and Hodge ward, along with my ward colleague, Councillor Majid Mahmood. I'll be chairing the meeting this evening. This meeting is being live streamed. This is an online meeting, and a recording of the meeting will be available for future record. So I'd just like to introduce this evening, we'll be having Kevin Gibbon from Kia, who will update us on the highways. We're hoping to have someone from one of the public health officers, and it will be Dr. Marion Gibbon, but she hasn't arrived yet. She was on the agenda first, so if she's not arriving, we'll take Kevin first of all. And the police unfortunately can't make it this evening, but I've got an update from the police, so I'll update you on what they've been doing. So, Kevin, would you like to go first, an update from Kia, please?
Keep forgetting the unmute. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Hopefully everybody's started to see work starting to take place from Kia now on the highway. It seems the current contract seems to be working really well. Everybody that works there, and the feedback that we've been getting has been really good. Couple of updates from me. We are currently working on, well, I am currently working with district engineers on the Hodge Hill common lighting scheme. We're trying to find a way to work around that and get some better lighting on Hodge Hill Common. I think Councillor Mahmood, you're involved in that as well, or will be in the future. Other than that, our area seems to be ticking over quite nicely. If there's anything anybody's got that they need me to look at, then please by all means let me know, as per normal.
I'm just seeing if there's any members of the public that are posting. Questions need to be posted in the chat, but I've not got any questions coming through at the moment. Basically, we're getting a good response. Kia's doing really well. They started off well. I hope it continues in the same vein.
Yeah. There's absolutely no reason why it shouldn't, to be fair. I mean, the way the contract's been designed, the way it's set up, it works, and it works really well.
Yeah, can I come in, Chair?
Yes, Majid.
Oh, I wasn't sure if I was muted or not. Yeah, I've noticed that the potholes are getting repaired a lot quicker than they were under Amy.
Yeah.
And some of the long-standing issues I've had, like for example on Radstock and Lindale Avenue, the corner, there's been a long-standing job by Amy, which they kept brushing under the carpet for months. Yeah. Now about a date, 4th and the 5th of August next week, that people are going to come out to fix the slabs and have a look at putting some bollards, which I'm going to speak to Andy Dimmock. I'm still waiting for Andy Dimmock to come back to me to have a site visit on some of the local highway schemes we've got around bollards and stuff. So I'm not sure if Kia comes into that. Hodge Hill Common, I was there over this weekend to meet the residents, and they're delighted that we've now received letters from the City Council head of highways that the street lighting will be going ahead in the next financial programme, which is really good news. But we do need to have a conversation before the locations of those street lightings are put in, because we always have this, like the lightings are put in, residents are informed by letter, but nothing is said to us until the moment that an engineer comes to install the lights. Then they come, oh, councillor, we weren't given any letters on this. So it would be good to have that discussion, even if it's a door-to-door exercise, to make sure we get it right. On Hodge Hill Common, the carriageway is really bad. It's still really bad. I mean, we've had the site visit there before, and it needs to have curbing, because the grass is now overgrown from the parks part on the common. You don't actually know where the vehicles are going, and then there's potholes everywhere. And the householders who bless them, they spend a considerable amount of money on their properties, but they're just hesitant of spending any money on highways because obviously they don't want to get in trouble for spending money on land that doesn't belong to them. So we did submit a petition for the carriageway. We've not actually had a response on that. We have had a response on the street lighting, but we've not had a response on the carriageway. And I would say that out of all the schemes that were proposed by the City Council and Amy Kia, Hodge Common needs to be at the forefront of the carriageway to get improved. I mean, I would ordinarily argue for Bromford Drive. The reason I'm not going to argue for Bromford Drive now is because of the extensive works that we have planned. We know there's going to be trucks and lorries going up and down, which is going to cause more damage to the carriage. So we're better off waiting for once the flood defence works have completed and we've had the properties all built, which will take about 18 months, then we can actually look at Bromford Drive, but that also needs to be on the radar for improvements.
The potholes, the address on Bromford Drive.
I'll get the potholes revisited over the course of the next week or so and make sure that there's nothing deteriorated to the point where we need to act. Okay. I quite agree, Councillor. We do need to do something about the edging on Hodge Common. However, the problem we've got is the extent of the tarmac is the highway edge. So that's another one that I've got to discuss with district engineers.
Needs to be replaced so that you've got the hedging and you've got an actual highway. So people, because what's happening since we've closed the car park because of antisocial behaviour, people are parking on the highway but not knowing it's the highway. They think it's the parkland and it's not. It's the actual highway, which makes it difficult for people to drive up and down, especially at night. And the fact that the lighting isn't as good as it should be, it's just like it's an accident waiting to happen. It is
definitely, and it is something that we are actively working on. So bear with us on it, and we will get you some information as soon as we've got it.
Thank you.
The only other ones I've had is Hodge Hill Road and Rivermead Drive, close.
Hodge Hill Road, I had a letter come through to say that an assessment's been carried out and it doesn't look like there's any defects that require repairs. So I'm not really sure how they've come to that conclusion.
Again and again, but,
I would tend to disagree with that as well. So I'll take that one up. And Rivermead Park.
Rivermead Park, that's it.
And Rivermead, you've got
the carriageway issues there again, all the drainage.
Carriageways.
Yeah.
But the drainage issues are over the other side of the bridge.
Yeah, I'll pick that up.
Okay. As far as highways go, that's all we've got. Anything else?
No, we've had the programme come through. So
I can't see any people in the meeting, any questions coming through or anything. So I'm just wondering if everything's working okay. There's no questions come through. So.
They've seen Kevin too often, you see.
I've just had a call from a resident as well. My phone's on silent, so I haven't taken it. But I'm just wondering if people are having issues logging onto the meeting.
There's no questions coming through.
No questions coming through whatsoever. So.
No.
Okay.
If there's anything that does come through and that you need to forward on to me, by all means, as normal, just please forward it on. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Kevin.
I'll stay on the call for now, and then we'll see if anything changes over the course of the evening.
Okay. Thank you.
No worries.
Right. So we do have in attendance. So there's Dr. Marion Gibbon and Dr. Justin Barney. Bev did inform me that Marion was going to speak, is that right?
Hello, Chair. Hello, residents, and hello, councillors. We're still waiting for Public Health to join the meeting. I've contacted them both and I haven't heard anything yet, so we'll just carry on without them, but I'll keep contacting. We'll try to contact and see how we get on.
Okay, looked like they were showing on my screen.
So I'll keep trying to contact them and see how we get on. Okay, thank you.
Right, so we'll come back to that one. The next item 4 then. So if we move on to item 4, that's the Bromford regeneration and flood defence works. Did you want to say something on that, Majid?
Oh, we've got no officers for that either.
No.
Okay,
No.
that's fine. The planning, no, the cabinet report went through where they've agreed to pay the money that's required for the completion of the flood defence works. It was about, I think it was 2.7 million. I haven't got COVID-19. I've had the test, by the way, but I have got a cough, so I have got an infection. So don't get scared when I'm coughing. We've had the cabinet report went through 2 weeks ago, so it's all been agreed, and that also includes the proposal to secure funding for the new properties on the old Stonycroft and Bailey Tower green spaces. Well, they're green spaces now, but they were housing before, so that's all good news for the Bromford. There's also we've had a number of questions actually around, I mean, because of COVID-19 and the restrictions placed on us, we haven't been able to deliver a leaflet. The whole plan was always to deliver a leaflet around the regeneration scheme. But it's only 2 weeks ago since we were given permission by our powers that be, the Labour Party, that we could actually go and leaflet. There is a leaflet we've got planned that will be delivered. It's about the play areas. The play area people, no, the play areas are not disappearing. They're going to disappear temporarily, but they're going to be replaced with 2 new play areas on the Bromford Drive Park. There's going to be a new site next to the old Warstone Tower site next to the shops. There's some work to be carried out there to bring in a play area. And on the current Bromford Drive Park, that play area is going to be reinstated, and all the funding's been secured with the Environment Agency and Parks, etc., to bring that funding back, so that we can bring the play equipment. But for temporarily, no one envisaged COVID-19 at the time that these proposals were all agreed. The plan was to remove them and bring them back during summer. Because of the delays to the work, they're obviously going to take a lot longer now. But hopefully by spring next year, we'll have something put back in place and bigger and better than what we've already got. So that's actually good news. Temporarily, not such good news, but long term, it's good news for us. But there's lots of work that is still to be carried out around the regeneration. I think at some point, especially when the flood defence works are nearing completion, it would be good to have a meeting with an actual ward forum meeting specifically around the regeneration on the Bromford. We've had some good news. Actually, Environment Agency, they're going to be working with some of the local schools. They've got some funding around some environmental projects as well, which is all tied into the regeneration works around the Bromford. Happy to take questions if there's any, Chair.
There's no questions, but it is working. I've had there are some residents on here, and the chat is working, but there's no questions. So
Well, that's fine. No, but we will have another meeting, and
yeah.
the leaflet we've got, which is a Councillor Labour Party leaflet, that will be delivered in the next probably 6 to 8 weeks. Normally I would say 3 to 4, but because of COVID-19, it's more difficult to get volunteers to deliver, so it will take about 2 months to get that out. But we'll put it on social media anyway, so people will be updated. And to get updates, we put regular updates on social media so people can follow through. What we know, you know.
Right. Okay, so nothing else then around the regeneration. It's ongoing. There's a lot. I've had some complaints about the long grass around the old Warstone site, but we'll try and address that. Hopefully, there should have, if COVID hadn't have happened, we would have had something in place now. But unfortunately, this couldn't have been foreseen. So, just a little bit of patience.
But it will look really good in 18 months' time.
It will. Yeah, it looks fantastic. Okay, right. So thank you for that. So if we move on, we've got who we've got in attendance now. Let's see. I don't think either Dr. Justin Varney or Dr. Marion Gibbon are in attendance yet. So If we move on then just to the local updates. So we've updated, is there anything else that we need to update on in the ward?
We've had 2 planning applications withdrawn by the applicants. Both are applications where me as a councillor, because the chair doesn't get involved because she sits on the planning committee, that we've objected to. The first one is HMO application on Brockhurst Road. That's now been withdrawn by the applicant. I think it was number 22. We had quite a large petition signed by residents because they were worried about the potential for ASP, because they've got bad experience with other ASP happening in and around where there's other properties which are HMO. Since I think it's start of June or start of July, if you now want to convert a property to HMO, you have to get specific planning permission from the city council, which is good news for all of us. So we'll know where the HMOs are, because at the moment we didn't know where they were because you didn't have to obtain planning permission unless it was more than 6 people. The other one that's been withdrawn, is actually made it into the Birmingham Mail as well, is the 5G mast, which was proposed on the Bromford Drive. We never even got a large petition for that. We got quite a number of individual representation, which I think carry much more weight than a petition does anyway. But it was around the size and location of the 5G mast, and again, potential for vandalism. Residents were really worried about the potential for vandalism. 20 masts have actually been vandalised across the country, and having a mast the size of that mast, if it ever was vandalised, it poses a serious risk to the health and well-being of the children who attend the school, which is right opposite, and the over 55s accommodation in the 2 tower blocks. So we weren't going to take that risk. And we've also got lots of service users who use mobile scooters and wheelchairs. It would have infringed on them as well, using that pavement. So that's good news on the planning application front. We've given an update on the regeneration scheme. There's some works that we're still doing with offices around Stretchford Hall Park. We've come across some money, Section 106 money, that has to be spent at Stretchford Hall Park. So we've had a draft master plan, but we've not had an opportunity to look through that. But just to let people know that we are on it, it's work that is being carried out, and there will be some good news hopefully for the next ward forum meeting, and there'll be some engagement as well with the residents that live nearby. We've also had a conversation with the housing officers around the housing environmental schemes, and we're still proposing a scheme around Jordan House, because a lot of the times the refuse collectors aren't able to gain access because of the number of vehicles parked there, and there's more people with cars living in Jordan House than there was previously. So we need to accommodate them and create a larger space. So we're just awaiting on some quotes to come through from the district engineers around that. And the money that we had last year, that's been put into the fire sprinklers because of the shortfall of that fund as well. We're still seeing if we can get some of that fund to help with some of the projects, because Trigo Croft, which was initially proposed, where you've got the park, not the car park, but it's a place used as a car park, but it isn't actually a car park. That was looked for development, but that's now been knocked on the head. So we do need to do something with that piece of land as well. So there'll be a conversation taking place. I've had a number of complaints, and I was hoping the police would be in, but they told us a few days ago they wouldn't be able to come. It's around Stitchford Lane, the part that falls within our ward. You've got gated access there, which I believe the city council installed many years ago. But it's the usual thing. We pay the capital, but we don't have the income to retain the maintenance, and we've left it to the residents to do that. There's been a number of burglaries there. There's been 6 or 7. So I was hoping that we could write to the police to see if they can carry out some work around there. I was informed yesterday by a resident who did say he was going to try to come to the ward forum meeting today. Well, log on to the ward forum meeting, not attend. And but I don't think he's here, but he would have said something. But just to have the police look at that to see if there's anything that they can do. And a similar issue has arisen with the old tennis courts at the rear of Southbourne Avenue and Beaufort Avenue. There's lots of people dumping rubbish there, and it's difficult for us to arrange for anyone to pick that up because it is essentially private land. It's not owned by the city council, so it's extremely difficult for us to. It's like asking someone to go. It's like asking the council to go and clear some rubbish in someone's back garden. It's not working. Talking about rubbish, there has been an increase in fly tipping. We're doing our best. I'm reporting more fly tipping now than I can remember being a councillor. It's gone that bad, and it's the usual grot spots. You got the common on a daily basis. You've got Bromford Drive, the space behind the old near to the community centre, and the usual grot spots we've got around like Pancroft, etc. And I've been speaking to officers, and they've told me themselves that it's increased 30%, and it's difficult for the housing officers because if someone dumps rubbish on housing land, it's the housing teams that have to pick it up. It's not the normal refuse collectors, the fly tipping teams we've got, and they have a specific budget, and they're hitting that budget like wildfire, but it has increased. I don't know if it's linked to the fact that the household recycling centres aren't open unless you book a slot, but it's something that needs to be reviewed, and I've spoken to the cabinet member to see what he can do to try to decrease the level of fly tipping. And if it means opening the household recycling centre for a day where you don't have to book. I mean, I've been, since we've booked the slot, to be honest, I actually find it a lot easier and better to use now because there's never a queue and you can just go in, take your items, place them, then come back again. And unlike previously when it was hit and miss whether there's a queue or not, so it's working. The final thing I just wanted to raise was,
yeah, it's also a lot of people have been furloughed. They've been at home and they've been doing a lot of DIY projects, and that's had a massive.
They have, but then they should book a slot, shouldn't they, at the household recycling centre? And end of the day, it's also more difficult now for residents because then you'll have an update chair on around community litter pickups. You are allowed to do the community litter pickups, but you need to carry out a risk assessment. But I don't think it's fair that residents have to pick up other people's rubbish. And if residents are going to have to put their own health at risk by picking up items which could have COVID-19, etc., transmitted to them, it's not really fair on them either. There is an issue with fly tipping, and we need more and more people to act as our eyes and ears to give us the information so that we can report the people. And to be fair to the waste enforcement team, once they have the evidence in place, they are actually very good at prosecuting, and it does work. It does stop, as a preventative measure as well. And on the plus side, the waste refuse has been collected really, really well during this COVID-19 period, and that's because they've reverted to a task and finish, because they're not allowed to sit around in the canteens, etc. So they can't get the job done and go home, which is something that I wanted to do when I was in cabinet there, but I wasn't able to do so for various legal reasons. Okay. I think that's it from the chair. Unless something else comes back.
A lot of the local litter picking groups are keen to get started again, so we're just awaiting a risk assessment update from Dr. Justin Barney to give them the go ahead. I know they're keen to get started again, but we need to ensure that nobody's at risk.
Yeah, it's not safe on them. I mean, they count out, a brilliant community selfless exercise, but I wouldn't want any of them to put themselves at risk for doing so.
And there's a lot of PPE that's been discarded on the streets lately.
There is actually. I see more and more gloves and masks, and even I'm a bit apprehensive in picking that up as well, even with the litter picker, because it's just one of those things, isn't it? We all have to keep ourselves safe.
Yeah. Any of those litter picks that do come that do arise, let me know, and I can try and get a couple of guys from our place to come down and join in and help as well.
You can, Kevin. The problem you've got is you can't have more than 6 people attending, because that's the government guidance, and that also transpires with community litter pickups. It's going to be incredibly difficult to get a big team out for the obvious reasons.
I think a lot of
shame, isn't it?
Residents are doing individual ones around their area, and that's good. I've been doing one outside, my house and my road, so just on my own.
No, we're quite blessed. We have lots of very good community-minded people living in the ward, and there's always people carrying out various activities on behalf of what really should be city council service delivery, but unfortunately, because of the current financial and COVID-19 situation, it's difficult for us to do.
Right, I've got a message here from Amjad Rashid. Recycling centres have a 2 to 3 hour wait with the possibility of not entering. No bookings are allowed. First come, first served.
No, you have to book a slot now. I've done it twice myself. You have to go online. If he wants to email us, I can send him the link that he needs to use. You can't take in trade waste, obviously. You can take in any residential waste, and there is a limit in terms of the weight, but you're looking at, you can fill in your fill up your back seats and your boot, how much more do you need to take?
Right.
But if he lets us have his details, we can send him the link.
Okay, I hope he's got that because his chat's gone now, so I can't reply to it. That's it.
I think that's it from me.
Yeah, no more questions and answers. Okay, thank you, Majid. Right, I'll move on to the police report now. So, Sergeant Lorna Pennycook has sent me through a report that Mark Hunter's drafted. We've got some crime figures here. We've seen there's been a substantial increase in hate crime. Hate crime has gone up considerably in the last quarter. Now, I don't know what's... in fact, I wanted to speak to Amjad because he's from Tel Mama. Maybe he could shed some light on that if he knows anything about that. So that's gone up.
Is that against a specific community or is it just general?
It's just general. It says hate crime has increased from 42 cases to 62.
50% increase?
Yeah, almost 50%. So that's quite...
Is that over a quarter or over a month?
That's over a quarter, yeah. So that's quite significant. So maybe we can look into that a bit more. That's must be a reason behind that, and to see what, who's behind it, who are they targeting, and where that's.
We need more information.
Yeah.
What part of the ward it's happening in?
Yeah. These figures are also for. I think they cover the police area, but it takes in part of ward end.
Ward end as well, then, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not an absolute true reflection of what's happening in Bromford and Hodge Hill. So maybe a bit more digging into those figures, and we can find out some more. Other significant figures are knife crime. There's been an increase in knife crime, and that's gone up 32 to 47. But again, we don't have the exact location, so we'll find out more about that. Something that's come down is vehicle crime, a significant decrease in vehicle crime, so that's good news. That's down by 23.5% almost.
That's really good.
And I've requested some speed traffic interventions. So we're going to do some work with the local sergeant. We're going to set something up, and I think speeding has during COVID there was a big increase in speeding across the ward.
Yeah, because of empty roads and people
they were taking advantage of it, but it seems to have it's not so bad now. Right. So the PCSOs that they've given me their current plan going forward. They're hiring a van for the 6th, 7th, 8th, 15th, 16th and 17th of August, and they're planning to visit Tesco's, Iceland, Ward End Park, the hub on Bromford, and they're waiting permission from the Hunter's Moon and the Raven pubs.
Okay.
That's something we can publicise on the.
Well, is that like a community policing initiative?
Yeah.
Just to talk to people.
So it's the WM Now surgeries.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So we'll send out more information when I've got more times, when I've got the exact times. Street Watch, we've got 2 Street Watch patrols. We've got the Heathlands, which is being run by Steve Brennan. That's usually around the school parking, so they haven't been very active.
You said about a quiet time then for the last few months.
I've just lost my mouse. Yeah, they've had a quiet time. And there's a new Street Watch patrol on Bromford, which is being, I think, coordinated by Paul Wright, one of the members. They've just setting up. They're going to do some patrols around the Bromford estate. I'm a Street Watch member, so I'm going to be joining them. Majid, if you want to come along as well.
You know my feelings around street watches. It should be, that's work that should be carried out by specially trained personnel.
It's not.
And secondly, there should be training given to all people who participate in the street watch. And thirdly, everyone who does participate should have a clear CBS as well. Now, as a lawyer, these are the type of things I have to look at. So it's going to be difficult for me to join a street watch, because it's best to leave it. And plus, because I'm also now doing some criminal work, not criminal work, but acting for clients in criminal. I have to be careful with what work I'm doing with the police anyway. But good luck to everyone who is doing it. I just hope that it does work and people are able to support it.
The street watch is just patrolling. They don't have to intervene in it if they see it's just.
But training, I mean, I've had this with the West Midlands Police, that if they're going to put individuals, that it's not a matter of the street patrol at the time. It's a matter of what happens after the street patrol, in the sense of how members of the public feel towards those individuals, because they're going to be seen as police officers, although they're not police officers. So I just want to have an assurance from, and I've had this with the Chief Constable, in terms of the specialist training given to the individuals who participate, the fact that they will have to have clear CBS checks as well, and what sort of like support and guidance they will be given if an incident happens because of the fact that they're participating in a street watch. I mean, God forbid nothing ever happens, but there is a possibility it could happen. I mean, street watch around a school is different when you're looking at inconsiderate parking and inconsiderate driving. That's different to doing a street watch where you're going to be hitting, say, hotspots where there's drug dealing happening, or hotspots where you've got HMO which isn't registered, and you've got lots of antisocial behaviour. I'm just looking out for my residents. My priority is for the residents. I just ask everyone, if you are participating, make sure you're doing it with the full backing of the police. And I would be more comfortable if it happens with the police in attendance. Then I'm quite content. But when it happens without the police in attendance, I'm not in favour of that at all.
And the street watch patrols, I'm aware of, police are in attendance.
No, because it's happening in other parts of the city where there's no police in attendance. When they used to do it on outside Warden Park, there was never police in attendance.
Yeah,
there should always be an officer in attendance.
And that was of a night time as well. The ones that happen in our ward are during the day. And police
they're fine. The school ones are fine. I'm more than happy to go to the school one. That's just looking at inconsiderate parking.
Yeah, it's low level crime, low level, nothing major.
Well, we don't want our constituents to be seen as going into the place of the police. What we should really be lobbying for is more police officers.
That's
and you wouldn't need a street watch, would you? You get more police officers. Why do you need a street watch?
That's down to government, isn't it? And the cuts.
Well, hopefully when Simon Foster comes in, he'll understand and he can help out.
Okay. So, school business watch. There's I'm not sure what business watch actually is.
That's on the what I know about that. That's on the Watch Beach Road, because there's been some.
It's Lloyds Bank, Iceland, Barclays, Bromwich Building Society, which are in Ward End. Yeah. But it's also
it comes onto the Lloyds Bank as well, which is in our ward. So it's a business watch, including all of those businesses.
Yeah.
Because you get lots of people hanging around outside, but it was happening more when you had the restrictions in place. Since the restrictions have been lifted, it's not so bad. But they do want a business watch in place, because there was a number of businesses, because they were shut, they got burgled because they were completely shut. And then the police said that they're going to look at having a business watch so people are able to look out for one another and stuff. It's a good idea. That's a good idea. If everyone's prepared, like, it's just a matter of sharing their CCTV, because most of the businesses have got CCTV. It's a matter of them all sharing the CCTV and working together, and it'll improve the area.
I think they're just awaiting others to join up.
Yeah.
All have been contacted. So Aldi, Tesco, Pound Stretcher, they've been contacted. Confirmation from Lloyd's, but waiting on the others to sign up. So that's positive, but hopefully now the restrictions are lifted, there won't be so much need. Schools, and they've made contact around schools, so they're establishing visits and a reminder of the junior PCSO scheme for those who don't have it. So first primary, they're waiting on a reply whether they want a junior PCSO. St Wilfrid's primary, they've had 2 junior PCSO training sessions that are not yet completed, ongoing. Colborne primary, delivered assemblies and junior PCSO established. That's good. Then the others are ordained. Tame Valley Primary delivered class presentations and attended opening evenings, but there's no interest in a junior PCSO currently. And Heathlands held meetings and visits, currently no interest in junior PCSO presentations. And patrols have been carried out on Berrendale Road or Bromford Lane. There are issues on the parkland behind Old Bromford Lane, and that's during lockdown. A lot of youths have been congregating there, drinking and using the gas canisters, and generally leaving all the rubbish behind afterwards. So,
Gas canisters everywhere. It's just a nightmare now. Legislation needs to be changed.
Yeah, it needs to be changed
around them.
And their health is at risk. They're at risk of having heart attacks, and it's really dangerous. I'm not sure, there needs to be more input to warn young people. So, and I think the same thing is happening around Wanderers Walk, and so they've had patrols, Wanderers Walk, Redcar Croft, Tesco's, Collingbourne Chipperfield, and a speeding up on Bromford Lane where 4 tickets have been issued and 8 motorists have been advised. And I think that's it. And I've had a message from Inspector Amir Abid, who's he just wishes everybody a happy Eid, and he's asking that they respect the COVID-19 restrictions over Eid.
Did he give the same to everyone before the pubs opened? So I've had this with public health. Shame they're not here, 'cause I would have said the same thing to them.
I don't know, I can't answer that one.
They didn't.
Right, and the police urge residents to report any drug-related issues in their area. They can report them anonymously on 101, and they'd like more intelligence-based information.
Yeah, I mean, I direct most people now, anyone that approaches me, to the West Midlands web chat, the police web chat. It's actually really good because you're interacting with the police officer. 101's always difficult because sometimes you're hanging on for a while. So if anyone is in the meeting, if they want to report anything, always use the West Midlands web chat. I find that really useful, and it records everything as well. So it's all written, what's been reported. And if you give them your email address, you don't have to, but if you give it to them, then they'll always come back to you as well with the report, what's actually happened since you reported the crime.
I've used that. I've gone on the phone line, called something through, but then used the web chat simultaneously. And what I've been waiting to get through, web chat sorted the issue.
Yeah, exactly. Web chat's really good.
Yeah,
it's really good because they have people manning that from across the country, I think, or somehow there's always someone there that speaks to you. I've always used it. Just because you mentioned Chillingham Road, I've had some casework around that and trimming back the trees, but it's parks land, it's not highways land, and that's been agreed. They're going to do some work there. And whilst I reported that, I also got information from Kia that they're carrying out tree inspections currently across the board in readiness for, I think we come into the 2021-2022 program where Kia will be trimming back a lot of the trees because a lot of them are overgrown now.
Absolutely correct. Yeah, there are
the
tree
next meeting
inspections going on in the ward at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had tree. A lot of people mention tree issues that the trees need.
Yeah, I had a detailed email from one of the officers, which actually lists, because a lot of people have got trees now where the branches are encroaching onto their driveways and they want to cut them. You can, but you have to follow the strict conditions, which I'll probably post actually on social media so people know what they can and can't do. But for everyone who wants to know, the trees there's a tree trimming program 2021 and inspections have been carried out now. So any that are deemed dangerous to persons or property will be trimmed straight away because they're a health hazard. But anything else will be trimmed in the next program, next municipal year.
Right. So, I just wanted to update on food banks in the city generally. Food banks now are scaling down their operations, and I want to give thanks to the residents who've set up community initiatives all across the ward during the height of the pandemic. You've all been fantastic. We had a really good a good response, and we are nominating coronavirus heroes. So if you've got anyone who you think has done a lot of good work in the ward, let either me or Majid know, and we'll see if they can try and get them some recognition for their hard.
I think residents have stepped up more so in our ward than any other part of the city, where we've had some Wilfred's Community Centre where we've helped out. They've delivered more than 2,500 food parcels, working with the active wellbeing side of the city council and with local businesses as well. We've got lots of very generous individuals in the ward who have basically provided carrier bags and food supplies, etc. And we've also got lots of individuals in and around the Bromford who have got a community table as well, where they allow people to donate food and then people can come and collect the food as well. And that's still ongoing, so it's helping out. Then O'Dow's Community Centre as well, the boxing group, they've also supplied a food bank facility as well. In fact, there's been 3-4 different ways of people being able to access food parcels in and around the Bromford. The St Wilfrid's has come down drastic now because the government has stopped the funding because they're saying the demand is reduced significantly, but they're still offering, I think it's 30 community packs a week, and they've got a list of the most vulnerable citizens they've got in and around where the community centre is, and they're still continuing with that. So, you know, well done to everyone. And as the chair said, if there is anyone that is off the radar and we don't know them, please get in touch and we can get them some recognition from the Lord Mayor's office.
Absolutely. There may be, I mean, if we do have a second spike, so the situation will be reassessed by the council and the government, and that. So we will, you know, reassess it ongoing. Hopefully there isn't the need that we had before, but it will be reassessed. Yeah, and thank you to everybody you've all been magnificent. You've worked really hard. Thank you. Right, and anything else? I've just had a message back from Amjad, and he says national stats, I'm sure that might be for the hate crime.
Oh, okay, it's could be for the hate crime.
But they're not national, they are local stats supposedly. So, well, we'll look into that so we can.
Well, it is quite worrying if there's been a 50% increase in hate crime, then clearly we need to have a look into that, see where the locations are, whether there's anything we can do as a city council to support.
Yeah, hopefully there are national stats, not local stats, but we'll drill down into those figures and see where they are in the area. Okay. Anything else? Got no questions from?
No.
I've had phone calls. I've seen my phone going off constantly from local residents. So I think there's some people are having issues connecting.
Yeah, no one's from public health. Bev's just sent a message in the chat.
And Amjad said he'll get back to me on that next week. He's going to look at the figures as well.
Yeah, if you can, that's important.
Yeah,
That is, because there is a specific community that's been targeted. We need to be made aware of that.
And also, the BAME community is being has suffered poorly during the COVID crisis. They're susceptible. I think Liam Byrne and a Sandwell councillor are doing a project on that. Is that right, Majid?
Yeah, that's disproportionately been affected by the deaths, etc. So there is an ongoing inquiry into that. There's a number of councillors from across the region, but it's led by Paulette Hamilton, Councillor Paulette Hamilton and Liam Byrne.
Right. Any other issues that we can raise?
No, it's looking.
We've got no more messages. Okay, so I'll just give. That's it then. So we've covered everything on the agenda, bar the update from Dr. Barney, and
we can invite them to the next meeting.
Yeah, we can invite them to the next, but I don't. There must be some connection issues here because, well, I don't know what's happened. So
I got a message about bad quality reception, and I've been kicked out once in this meeting. So
I've had because
I think Hall Green's on at the same time, isn't it? So
are they trying
the server can't take two meetings on.
Okay, that might be it. Yeah, I did have a little message flash up at one point saying the network connection's not very good, but it's gone back now. Okay. All right then. So we've got nothing else on the agenda, and we'll just move on to the date of the next board forum meeting, which hopefully we'll try and arrange it. If it clashes with another ward, then we'll.
Yeah, don't clash it with another ward.
Yeah.
I mean, the next ward meeting, what to do is get a date off the police before we agree a date.
The police, they've confirmed that they can attend on the 24th of September. That's when we've got the next 24th, one.
Then that's fine.
Yeah, and they confirmed already that they can attend on that date. So hopefully and I'll speak with Bev afterwards to make sure that hopefully if there's no other wards on the same night, we can have a better.
If there has been an issue with connection for people for the community, is it not possibly worth doing a Q&A session one of the evenings just for half an hour where members of the public can do a quick Q&A as a suggestion?
We could do that, but possibly on a different platform. I don't think we could do it on Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
Facebook might be better.
Yeah.
Or Zoom if we know how to get the ID.
Yeah.
But Kevin is right. We do need, if people haven't been able to gain access, we do need to give them the opportunity to speak to us.
Perhaps Zooms, and see if we can arrange something on Zooms.
Zoom's a good platform for a Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's do that.
Okay then. So we'll thank you everybody who's attended. So the next meeting will be on Thursday, the 24th of September at 6:30. But in the interim, we'll try and arrange something on Zoom so we can just have a quick Q&A and address any ongoing issues.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.